There are moments in sports that last only a few seconds, but spark conversations that continue for days. And one recent moment involving Caitlin Clark and Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White has become exactly that kind of story. What really happened during that heated exchange on the sideline? Was it simply a competitive moment between a coach and her star player? Or does it reveal something deeper about the pressure surrounding one of the most talked about athletes in basketball? And now, a former WNBA coach has added another layer to the discussion, suggesting that somebody may need to step in when situations like this unfold. Let's break down what happened, what people are saying, and why this conversation has become much bigger than a brief sideline interaction. The moment occurred during a recent Indiana Fever game when television cameras captured an emotional exchange between Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White on the bench. The interaction quickly spread across social media, with fans analyzing every gesture, expression, and reaction. One important thing to establish right away is that neither Clark nor White publicly described the exchange as a serious conflict. In fact, intense conversations between coaches and players happen regularly across professional sports. Basketball is emotional. Coaches challenge players. Players respond. And when cameras are focused on every movement, even ordinary competitive discussions can appear more dramatic than they actually are. Still, the clip generated significant attention because of who was involved. Caitlin Clark remains one of the biggest names in women's basketball. Since entering the WNBA, nearly every on-court moment involving her receives enormous scrutiny. Whether it's a hard foul, a celebration, a disagreement with officials, or a conversation with a teammate, fans often dissect the footage frame by frame. That level of attention creates a unique environment around the Indiana Fever. According to recent discussions across sports media, many observers believe Clark operates under a spotlight unlike almost any other player in the league. Every reaction becomes a headline. Every emotional moment becomes a debate. That's why this sideline exchange immediately became a major talking point. The conversation intensified further when a former WNBA coach weighed in publicly, raising the point that somebody has to step in when situations become overly emotional or potentially distracting during a game. Now, it's important to separate confirmed facts from interpretation. The confirmed fact is that a former coach commented on the situation and suggested that intervention from coaching staff, team leaders, or other personnel can sometimes help de-escalate tense moments. The opinion part is what exactly that intervention should look like, and whether it was even necessary in this specific situation. That's where the debate begins. On one side, many basketball analysts argue that emotional exchanges are a normal and healthy part of competition. Great players often demand a lot from themselves. Great coaches often demand even more. When those personalities collide during high-pressure situations, passionate conversations are almost inevitable. Supporters of this viewpoint point to examples throughout basketball history. From the NBA to the WNBA, some of the strongest coach-player relationships have included moments of visible disagreement. The reasoning is simple. If a coach stops challenging a star player, that could be a bigger concern than having a tough conversation. From this perspective, the exchange between White and Clark could simply reflect competitive standards rather than personal conflict. But others see a different side. Some observers believe that because Clark already faces extraordinary pressure, coaching interactions involving her naturally attract more attention and therefore require additional awareness. The argument isn't necessarily that coaches should avoid accountability. Instead, it's that managing public perception has become part of modern sports. When millions of viewers are watching and social media clips spread instantly, even routine interactions can become narratives that follow a team for weeks. Reports suggest that many fans aren't just evaluating the exchange itself. They're evaluating what it might mean for team chemistry, leadership, and the overall direction of the Fever. Whether those concerns are justified is another question entirely. One fascinating aspect of this story is how differently fans interpreted the same footage. Some viewers saw a coach doing her job. Others saw a frustrated player. Some saw healthy communication. Others saw tension. And that's exactly why these moments become so interesting. People often bring their own expectations into what they're watching. Fans who already believe Clark faces excessive criticism may view the interaction one way. Fans who emphasize coaching authority may view it another way. Neither reaction automatically proves what actually happened. What it does show is how emotionally invested people have become in following Clark's career. Another factor worth discussing is Stephanie White herself. White has built a reputation as a respected basketball mind who expects accountability from her players. Throughout her coaching career, she has demonstrated a willingness to challenge athletes when necessary. That reputation matters because context matters. A coach known for demanding excellence is often viewed differently than a coach with a history of conflict. Many analysts have pointed out that White's coaching style has long included direct communication. If that's the case, then the interaction may have been entirely consistent with how she coaches every player on the roster. At the same time, Clark is not an ordinary rookie or young star. She entered the league with unprecedented attention. Television ratings increased. Attendance numbers surged. Media coverage expanded dramatically. Every decision involving Clark receives intense examination. That reality creates a balancing act for everyone around the organization. The Fever must focus on winning games while simultaneously operating under a microscope. And that's where the former coach's comments become especially interesting. Perhaps the most important takeaway isn't whether somebody should have stepped in during that specific exchange. Perhaps it's the broader idea that successful teams often need people who can manage emotions in critical moments. Championship teams usually have veterans, assistant coaches, or leaders who help maintain focus when tensions rise. That doesn't mean conflict is bad. In fact, constructive conflict can help teams improve. The key question is whether emotions become productive or destructive. At this stage, there is little evidence suggesting that the Fever face a major internal issue because of one sideline conversation. Most available information points toward a competitive moment that became magnified because of the enormous attention surrounding the team. Still, the discussion highlights an ongoing challenge for Indiana. How do you balance accountability with confidence? How do you challenge a superstar while supporting her? How do you maintain competitive intensity without allowing outside narratives to take over? Those are questions every successful franchise eventually faces. And for the Fever, those questions may become increasingly important as expectations continue to rise. Fans are reacting strongly because they understand what's at stake. The organization isn't simply developing a talented player. It's building around a franchise cornerstone whose every move becomes national news. That reality creates pressure on coaches. It creates pressure on teammates. And it creates pressure on Clark herself. The good news for Indiana supporters is that passionate discussions often happen inside competitive teams. In many cases, the absence of emotion can be more concerning than the presence of it. The challenge is ensuring that those emotions ultimately serve the team's goals rather than distract from them. As the season continues, the true measure won't be one sideline exchange. It will be how the Fever respond collectively. Do they continue growing? Do they improve their chemistry? Do they translate expectations into results on the court? Those answers will matter far more than any viral clip. For now, the debate continues. Some fans believe the former coach made a valid point about leadership and intervention. Others believe the entire situation has been overanalyzed. Both perspectives have merit. What remains clear is that moments involving Caitlin Clark continue to generate conversations unlike almost anything else in this sport. And maybe that's the most revealing part of this story. A brief exchange lasting only seconds has sparked days of discussion across basketball media and fan communities. So here's the question. When cameras capture an emotional conversation between a coach and a star player, are we witnessing a problem that needs solving, or simply the reality of high-level competition playing out in real time?